told me it was going to be the most exciting day I ever had, I should have laughed and said rats. I went down to breakfast in high spirits. There was an end-of-termy feeling in the air, and breakfast was at 8 a.m. I was sitting next to Miss Crichton, and I distinctly remember she had just passed me the milk, and I was raising my first spoonful of porridge to my mouth. I never tasted that porridge. Crash, thud, I sat up, my spoon in the air. All the nerves in my system suddenly strung taut, for the noise was like nothing I'd heard before. Deafening, clear-cut, not rumbly, as though a heavy piece of furniture had crashed in the room overhead. I looked at Miss Crichton, saying with a laugh, "Hello? Who's fallen?" And the look on her face arrested me. She was deathly white and with fixed eyes was looking towards Miss Bubb. Suddenly I felt a tightness across my chest and an icy hand laid on my spine. I could see the hand that held my spoon trembling, and yet I'd not realised what was happening. Only something caught at my heart, and for an instant it stopped beating. I was about to speak when crash, a sound more terrific than the first, and then all the windows danced in their frames. Each report was doubled. First a roar, and then an ear-splitting crash as the shell exploded. Then someone whispered guns. The word like magic passed from mouth to mouth as we sat white-faced but undismayed with the uneaten food before us. Another crash and two mistresses rose and spoke together a moment and went out. Still not a girl moved or spoke. All sat as under a spell. Another crash, and another. Then one by one the girls rose to their feet. That was the moment, the only moment when panic could have occurred. We did not know, we could only guess what was happening, but a steady voice brought us to our senses. Lead out to a cloakroom and wait there. We led out, yes, but not sedately as usual. Quite slowly and quietly, and then we stood awaiting orders. If anybody felt fear, and I know that some did, no one showed it save by a white face or an excited laugh. We talked quietly in awed tones. Each time a shot was fired, some started and flinched. Others stood calm and motionless, and Miss Bubb appeared on the stairs, with her dear familiar smile and her steadying voice. We seemed to have caught in a bad dream on something that was safe and real and solid. She was our saviour, and yet the words she said were so absurdly familiar and commonplace. Put on your long coats, tammies and thick boots. We are going for a walk into the country till it is over. Just as we got through the gate, another shell burst quite near, and run came the order, and we ran under the early morning sky, on the muddy uneven road, that deafening noise in our ears, the echo ringing even when the actual firing stopped for a moment. It never stopped for more. Round our hastily clad feet slipped on the muddy road. Over the town hung a mantle of heavy smoke, yellow and real, which made the place look like a dream city far, far away. Only the road was real. A tight pain that caught across our breast. It was not fear but something inexplicable that hurt, and yet in some strange way it was not wholly unpleasant. Round the corner leading down to the mere we ran, now all puffing. Someone was down. The bangway fell full length on the road and lay winded, and somebody picked her up and they ran together. In an instant's pause, I looked around, I heard the roar of a gun, and the next instant was a crash, and a thick cloud of black smoke enveloped one of the houses in Seaman Road. A tiny spurt of red flame shot out, then I was swept on down the hill to where the mere lay grey and placid in the cold morning light. Where the road joins at the foot of the hill we hesitated a second. We were moving to the level crossing when a shell struck the ground some 50 yards away, throwing up earth and mud in all directions. Back came the cry, and we turned and round and things to behold.